Hey guys, Luke here. The 2019 NRL Final Series is here. We're into week 2. Round 1 is already done. What a fantastic week of footy it was. But I thought it'd be interesting to see if we would jump on Rugby League Live 4 and go and see what they thought would happen. And let's just not stop at week 1 of the finals. Let's go throughout the whole finals. Let's see what Rugby League Live 4 predicts. Now, I've made it no secret, I'm not a big fan of Rugby League Live 4. And it's actually very, very hard to sort of set up this video. So I'm going to have to kind of do a custom sort of one. I can't really just go straight on the game and just set up the finals because they don't let you do that for some reason. So bear with me, this is going to take a little while. Now, as you can see on the screen, I have Rugby League Live 4 set up. I actually have to do an 8-man season, an 8-man league. You can see here, here's a little ladder. Dismiss any of the files and that sort of stuff. I'm not going to be worrying about that, but here's all our sides. Actually, you know what? Let's go through all the sides individually. So we have the Canberra Raiders. They're going to be the first team we're going to be taking a look at. You can see Nicole Clodstad, Rapana Leilua. It's a pretty solid side. You can see all the ratings there. The ratings are for debate, just due to the fact that these are my own ratings. I've sort of used what Rugby League Live 4 has given me, and then I've sort of nerfed them a little bit. Based off if players are new, like Nicole Clodstad was, like, I don't know, probably in the 70s or something. Now I've got him up to an 83. But yeah, the lineup, it's not going to be exactly the same as, you know, the team that's going to be put out on the field for some of these teams because some guys aren't in Rugby League Live 4. But yeah, there's the Raiders side. Now moving on to the Broncos, we have Milford at fullback. It's such a weird side. You go through all their positions. Second row in at centre. We've got a hooker in at halfback. We've got a 5'8", a fullback in at 5'8", and then we've got a 5'8" in at fullback. Lodge, McCullough, you know, it's an okay side. McCullough probably rated a bit too high, but I mean, the Broncos side on paper isn't too bad, but oh, they just perform so bad. Now moving on to the Cronulla Sharks, another casualty of week 1 of the finals, Dugan at fullback there. I didn't know whether to put in Moylan, but I just left him out considering he didn't play and they lost. So is their lineup? It's pretty decent. They've got a very strong forward pack. Nakora was someone I had to nerf up a lot, but Townsend and Johnson actually pretty good on the game. Paul Gallen's still pretty solid. Bench is half decent. Brayley a bit of a weak spot. So is Jack Williams. But you can see Moylan there. Bakuya. See your Manafana, I think it was. So they've actually got some pretty good depth, but won't be using that on this game, that's for sure. Now moving on to the Manly Seagulls. Now this is a very interesting team because if you go through their team and look at their overalls, probably not very good. Like if you look at their team individually, not that great, but as a whole, as a unit, they play very, very well. But you can see their side here. A lot of like 70 rated players. Garrick had to nerf his kicking stats considering he's a goal kicker. Fanua Blake had to put him up a lot as well. But Dylan Walker's still a centre, but we're playing him at 5'8" here. Tapau, he's suspended, but with the amount of injuries and shit they've got at the moment, I ran out of players. So this is the best I could do for the Manly side. They got that many sort of reserve grade under 20 sort of players there. This is the best I could do. So there you go, there's Manly. Now moving on to the Melbourne Storm. Shock losers in round 1 of the finals, but you can see Pappenhausen in there, about 80. That's probably about right for him. The rest of the side, it's a pretty strong side. Maybe ratings-wise, but apart from the Roosters, probably the best rated side. Their bench is very, very strong. Yeah, just a really, really good side, as you'd expect for the Storm. But Jerome Hughes, I've left him as a fullback and put him in a halfback, and obviously Pappenhausen in the side now. For a long time, they had Brodie Croft in the side. You can see he'd be somewhere on the bench here. There you go, 82 rated for Brodie Croft. Kristen Welch is injured as well. But yeah, for the most part, Storm a pretty fit side at the moment, pretty full strength. So yeah, I think they'll go pretty good in Rugby League Live 4. Another team who looks pretty decent on Rugby League Live 4, Parramatta Eels. Let's look at their lineup. You see Blake Ferguson, 86. Sevo, I had to actually download him. He's actually a custom one. Along with Blake there, 83. Mitchell Moses bumped up a little bit. Dylan Brown, 80. That's pretty decent for him. Sean Lane, I had to bump him up a little bit. He's very, very good. Junior Paulo, another good player. Takarang and stuff on the bench. They have a pretty solid side. I can see them doing pretty good things on Rugby League Live 4, to be honest. Now, moving on to a team who I don't think looks very good on Rugby League Live 4. That is the Rabbitohs, and this is with some players with increased stats. Now, I've put Dewey at fullback and Alex Johnson on the wing. I figure Gagai probably end up in the centres. Got James Roberts there. Cody Walker played pretty well this year. Adam Reynolds pretty decent as well. Damien Cook, star of the show there. Sam Burgess as well. But yeah, their side doesn't fill me with great confidence. And for a team that is actually in the top 4, probably one of the weaker teams in this top 8 on the game in terms of individuals and that. So yeah, be interested to see how they go in this simulation. And last but not least, the Sydney Roosters, probably the best team. Tedesco 91, I think that's very fitting. 88 for Mitchell. Joey Manu 86. A very, very strong team. Kiri 89 for me. Very, very good. The only thing I wasn't sure about is Jake Fred. He's injured. I'm pretty sure he's out for the season. So I've just thrown in Radley. I put Takiaho at lock. And I've thrown Drew Hutchison on the bench because I don't know who else to put in because that Verrills isn't in the game. Couldn't be bothered making him. So I don't think things are going to matter too much for the Roosters. Their side is outstanding. So if they lose, I don't think it's going to be because Sam Verrills isn't in the game. But yeah, a very, very strong side. So now we've gone through all the sides individually. Let's see how this all plays out. Let's see who's going to win the premiership according to Rugby League Live 4. Actually, just before we go through and have a look at individual games, I've had to simulate this whole little season, this little mini season between all these 8 teams, and it predicted the Raiders to win 13 out of 14 games. This Raiders side seems incredible. Storm pretty good. Rabbitohs, Roosters. I mean, kind of what you would expect. I mean, that's the top 4. It's a little bit out of whack. I mean, the Roosters in at 4th, but the top 4 remains the same. I think Seagulls. I mean, that's very similar to what the actual top 8 ended up being. I know it's 8 from 8 teams, but in terms of order, I mean, the top 4 is there, the bottom 4 is there. Not in order, but they're both in their little ranking sort of thing. So, Rugby League Live 4 going pretty good so far, but let's see who they predict to win out of the Storm and the Raiders. Okay. I suppose this is expected considering the Raiders had such a good record when we had a look at the ladder. But they predicted the Canberra Raiders to beat the Melbourne Storm 10-2. Obviously, the Raiders beat the Storm in real life. So, congratulations, Rugby League Live 4. You absolutely smashed that one. Nicole Klodstad picking up a try. Tapini picking up a try. Jack Whiten, the goal kicker, which is interesting. Yeah, so Charn's got man of the match there. Cameron Smith was the best of the bunch for the Storm, which is, yeah, pretty accurate. But yeah, Raiders look like the team to beat here. Go Raiders. The next game we're looking at is the Roosters and the Rabbitohs. Now, this is one Rugby League Live 4 definitely did not get right. They've got the Rabbitohs picking up the victory by 1 point. Alex Johnson, man of the match there. He actually scored a try. Cameron Murray scored a try as well. George Burgess with the goal kicking. That's interesting. Very interesting. Probably should have updated that. But Latrell Mitchell picking up 2 goals there. Takiaho, Brett Morris scoring tries. So essentially a George Burgess field goal in the end. That is absolutely hilarious. George Burgess kicking goals left, right, and centre. Wow. Yeah, interesting. Great stuff, Rugby League Live 4. Now moving on to the third game. This is another one Rugby League Live 4 has got right. Manly, 14-0 against Cronulla. Dylan Walker picking up man of the match. Gasevsky, or whatever his name is, picked up a try. Tafua, Brad Parker, Cherry Evans kicking all the goals. Goal kicking tends to be a bit weird on this. But, man, you can see total domination by Manly. Paul Gallen gets eliminated, not only in real life, but on the game in the first round of the finals. And moving on to the last game. Wow, oh wow. The Brisbane Broncos, 16-8 winners over the Parramatta Eels. I can't believe that. Jack Turpin picking up man of the match. I guess Bankwest isn't on Rugby League Live 4, that's for sure. Broncos, wow. I can't believe they actually won this. But like I said, they've got a pretty good side on the game. But the Eels, they have a very, very strong side on the game as well. I mean, look at all those names. Blake Ferguson looking like he didn't do very much. Only getting a rating of 23. But completion, not too bad. But yeah, this total domination by the Broncos. Asako, Staggs, and McCullough picking up the tries. Asako, 2 goals. Mitch Moses kicking a penalty goal there as well. But I'm shocked. I'm honestly shocked with the Broncos coming out the victors here. So he's got to throw a spanner in the works. Roosters losing, Broncos winning. Yeah, round 2 of the finals is going to be quite weird. So I believe that means that round 2 of the finals means the Storm would play the Broncos, and I think Manly would play the Roosters. So yeah, very different to what we're getting in real life, but let's see how it pans out in Rugby League Live 4. Okay, my faith in this game has been restored. The Melbourne Storm picking up the victory over the Broncos 8-4. Looks like it was a tight game. Adokai scoring the sole try of the game. Cameron Smith, actually sole try for the Storm, I should say, because Corey Oates scored for the Broncos, but Cameron Smith picking up 2 goals there. Looks like a penalty goal. So, yeah, thank God the Storm won. At least there's some credibility to Rugby League Live 4 here. Okay, maybe not. And on to the second game. Just as you would expect, the Roosters picking up a victory against the Seagulls. 10-2. Looked like a pretty easy win for the Roosters there. Luke Keary picking up a try. Isaac Liu picking up a try. Latrell Mitchell kicking one of the goals. Luke Keary, man of the match, though. Looking at the stats, fairly similar, but yeah, the one thing that is different is obviously the try scored, and that's what matters. The Roosters picking up the victory. So that means moving on to the preliminary final. That means that Manly and the Broncos, they're both gone. See you later. So that leaves us with grand final qualifying games with the Raiders at home taking on the Roosters and the South Sydney Rabbitohs at home taking on the Melbourne Storm. This is going to be 2 pretty juicy clashes. I'm pretty interested to see who gets through. I suspect, based off the ladder that we saw before, it's going to be the Raiders and the Storm, but we'll have to wait and see. Oh wow, just as I expected, the Raiders have beat the Roosters 11-4. I mean, the Raiders said they'd only lost 1 game. Maybe it's going to be the grand final. They made it to the grand final according to Rugby League Live 4. Who they were playing, I'm not sure, but Josh Hodgson picks up man of the match. He scored a try. Nick Kotrick also scoring a try. Jack Whiten, his goal kicking still. Victor Radley scoring for the Chooks, but that's a pretty classy display by the Raiders by the looks of things. Could it happen in real life? Sure it could. Will it probably happen? I don't know, but Yeah, Rugby League Live 4, this is certainly interesting so far. Well, I kind of suspected this one, but I also kind of didn't because Rabbitohs are the home team, but the Melbourne Storm, 16-12 victors over the Rabbitohs. Alex Johnson still picks up man of the match, but tries to Adokar, Stimson, and Kafusi. Cameron Smith kicking 2 goals for the Rabbitohs. Johnson and Dewey scoring tries, and George Burgess kicking the goal. The hero of the last game, kicking 2 goals, kicked a field goal. Couldn't do it this game, though. Good effort from the Rabbitohs, a little bit further than I thought they would probably go in real life, but Melbourne Storm, Canberra Raiders grand final. I can't believe it, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could happen. I just can't see the Roosters not getting to the grand final in real life, but I mean, they're going to have to play the Storm eventually, you would think, if Storm beat the Eels, so they're definitely on track. I mean, the Storm can make the grand final against the Raiders, so it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it's just unlikely, I'd say. For the purpose of this video, though, who is going to be the premiers? Is it going to be the Raiders, or is it going to be the Melbourne Storm? Well, guys, there's your grand final. The Raiders up against the Storm. The Raiders are predicted to win 10-2. I can't believe it. Raiders actually going to win. I've just jumped on the bandwagon yesterday, and Rugby League Live 4 is also on the bandwagon as well. Chance is absolutely killing on this. Every single game, it's either him or Hodgson getting man of the match, but 10-2, they didn't even score a try. So Chan scored a try, Tapini scored a try, Jack Whiten kicked 1 goal. What were the rest of the stats? I mean, Tapini had a good game, Whitehead was good, Rapana. They've just got such a solid side, the Raiders. But, I mean, the Storm side is very, very good as well, as to how they got to the grand final in the first place. What were the stats, though? Like, John Bateman, very, very good there. John Bateman, such a good player in real life anyways. Who made the most tackles? Papali with the most tackles. Who was kicking mostly? Jack Whiten kicking mostly. Jared Croker, a few kicks. Penalties? Anyone give away penalties? Jack Whiten and Tapini? I don't know. If this happened in real life, this would be absolutely insane. This would be crazy. Who would have predicted at the start of the year that the Raiders would beat the Storm in the grand final? Not me, but hey, Rugby League Live 4 thinks so. I still personally think that the Roosters are going to make the grand final, but Rugby League Live 4 thinks it's going to be a Raiders and Storm grand final, so hey, I'm not going to argue with it. It could happen. Anyway, guys, that is the end of this video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke and YT. Also, go ahead and add me on Snapchat while you're at it. It's also the same as this, Mr. Luke and YT. My Facebook page is in the description below as well. I've been posting on that a little bit. So go ahead and give me a like on that. Anyway, guys, Rugby League Live 4 predictions over and done with. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.